What's good with y'all tonight, folks? It's your man Donald King back in the building. How y'all feeling? You good? Just having a bit of technical difficulty with my camera there. You know, the equipment, it ages, and that's the reason why it's like I make I don't know, make avenues for people to assist um, in the way of donation and things of that nature. You know, I do everything that I can to try and give you all insight into what I see, and you know, it's like it's really tough to be a full-time, all the time avatar, and also try to well, do what you can to secure resources within the parasitic construct we call society. It's a tough one. Anywho, how y'all doing? You good? Am I center frame? I hope I'm center frame. Your boy is tired. I'm tired. I haven't had much sleep over the course of the last couple of days, and well, I have baking to do, and also I was hired recently to help you know, move things out of a house, some into storage and then some into waste and disposal. So between that and doing avatar work and obviously shooting podcasts, which is part of avatar work, it's your boy is burning the candle in the middle. I'm tired, but I get her done. I try. That is that's the one thing that I can say about all things is I show up and I try. May not always be perfect at it, but it still gets my best effort. I can say that with most things. Yeah. I wouldn't say that with any level of pride, just that is my resolve. That is my inner sense of resolve, my inner sense of commitment to betterment. Is making sure I show up and I do my part. You know, it's a lot of people who believe that all things are predestined. And what do they call that? Causal determinism. Now, some people believe all things are predestined from more of a philosophical and or religious bent. However, you know, there are people who are of the pragmatic mind, who are of the impression that, well, all things happen as they would, irrespective of whether or not anyone applied any special measure of effort to producing outcomes or not, or influencing outcomes. I'm not of that thought path per se. I say that, especially with respect to humans, we are unique in that we are a viral parasitic species that is, for the most part, a recombinant life form made up of natural structural building blocks. And that puts us in a unique yet precarious situation. We're part natural, we're part synthetic, and we get to choose which side we are attuned to. In that being our free will, us having the ability to choose between corruption and reality, and by proxy of reality, natural organization and or nature. We we have choice. It negates the concept of causal determinism. And it's really interesting to even get into that because, you know, I say it like this. My life, so much of it falls to circumstances that were put in place long before I existed. Um, Even through my formative years and into my teen years, even into me being or becoming an atheist, all the way to me going to heaven and becoming an avatar, a lot of that, most of that, pretty much all of that was out of my hands. Isn't much that I could have done to influence the situations leading up to me becoming the thing I purport to be. I mean, like, even down to the circumstances of my biological mother finding her way to the faith system that she did, which was ultimately the faith system that my adoptive family held, and me making my way to there. That was all orchestrated by something much, much larger and much more capable of influence than me. But, in saying that, every day I show up to try to do the work of an avatar, it is a choice. Everything I decide to endure through and not suffer through, everything I decide to apply effort towards, is a choice. A lot of times I don't like this species. Most days I don't like this species. You're horrible. It's no secret. You know you are. You're quick to call each other horrible. Not very quick to look in the mirror, but you're a shitty species. Mostly because you've been trained to have horrible, horrible attitudes about everything. Through the socialization process. You've been trained to be entitled. You've been trained to be self-assuming. You've been trained to be intolerant and dismissive of things that don't reflect your inner story back to you. You've been trained to be aggressive to any and everyone you feel is inferior to you, either physically, mentally, morally, emotionally. You condescend. You're greedy. You take for yourselves. You're quick to punish others and even quicker to reward yourselves. You're parasites. This is how parasites move. They're shitty, shitty life forms. But you have a choice. See, you don't have to be a shitty life form. You have to practice your way into becoming a shitty life form. Instead of healing from the traumatizing circumstance of going through the socialization process, you'd much rather transfer your anger and frustration into others. I circled away from my initial point, but I'm going to circle back to it. Circle back to it and then circle back to where I'm at right now. I talk about, me choosing to be an avatar. Me choosing to do the work of an avatar in spite of the fact that a lot of days it's very hard. In spite of the fact that it's lonely, there are no social payoffs for it. It's a ton of work, thankless work, for a bunch of ape creatures who think they're above considering it. But even in that, I've been very fortunate in the sense that God has sort of guided me through all of this. Reality has sort of guided me through it. It hasn't been easy, but somehow, when everything falls down around me, I look up and I'm still standing. A lot of days I don't know how. And the reason why I mention that is because it's a little thing that I shared with my grandmother. I said, God does 99% of the work. Reality does 99% of the work. Only thing you have to do is show up and do your part. Your little 1%. That's my motto in life. I show up and I do my part. I don't try to do more. I certainly don't try to do less. But I show up and I do my part. It's kind of like sitting at a table and God or whatever you subscribe to as the ultimate power in life, let's say that it could be anthropomorphized, it could be personified. And why? It would put the meal right in front of you, but it's still your job to eat. Look at all the food that's provided to you in the world, in life. Someone puts a bounty in front of you and you still have to pick up that fork. That's a choice. You still have to spear the food with the fork and put it in your mouth and chew. These are all choices. Now you are sort of motivated towards those choices by the biological imperative to consume in order to survive. However, it still very much represents choices you make. And you know this because you can fast, you can go without eating, you can choose not to eat certain foods. You choose to eat. Just like you choose to be balanced or you choose to be corrupt. These are choices you make. They're choices you make. So, getting into the subject of tonight's podcast, and I'm segueing into it based on this. In the simplest terms, being corrupt is having a bad attitude and outlook on life. That's being corrupt. For humans, at least, in the simplest terms, that's what corruption is. You have a shitty outlook and you in a shitty attitude, and you allow that shitty attitude to inform your behavior and dictate and control your interactions with others and entitle you to make messes and expect others to clean up behind you. It's a shitty attitude and outlook on life. Think about the most corrupt people you can on this planet. Oftentimes I refer to pedophiles because I think that they're, at least by way of behavior, they're some of the most horrific people. Because the reason why is because in order to be even remotely attracted to something that is not mature of body, that is absolutely a taste, a preference you must nurture within yourself. And in so, you sort of the people who have this sort of predatory outlook towards children, it's based in cowardice. It's based in an idea to prey upon the vulnerable, and through preying upon the vulnerable, they conflate attraction with the desire to steal power from something weaker than them. It's cowardly. So individuals who have this outlook, regardless of how you try to describe it, they necessarily nurture it within themselves. They alter the apperception by focusing on an object and allowing their perception and their desire to exercise power and dominion over something weaker than them. They allow it to warp their apperception to a state and condition in which they falsely equate stealing power from the vulnerable with sexual attraction. It's disgusting. It's based in cowardice. But you look at something like rapists or pedophiles or just warmongers or tyrants or I don't know, sociopaths, individuals and groups that engage in genocidal practices, just the worst people on the planet. And those who defend them and who ideologically identify with them and side with them. You're looking at people with shitty attitudes and outlooks on life. Narcissism, competition, greed, aggression. And I'm adding greed in because it's like when I'm examining the body of principles, I realize I overlooked that. Narcissism, competition, greed, and aggression. When you practice, when you indulge these proclivities, they in essence turn you into a shitty person because they necessarily alter your attitude and outlook on life. I deserve more than other people. That's a shitty person. I want them to suffer because I'm suffering. That's a shitty person. I want to take from them and benefit me. I don't care about the messes I make. Someone else will clean them up. Like, think about all the garbage personality traits and effects you would put into the shittiest life form imaginable. Think about them all. And I guarantee you, when you think about all of those things, when you think about all the different variations and forms of corruption you could infuse into the worst life form imaginable, I absolutely guarantee you that it's like if you could conjure an image of that being in your mind, it would be a human. Maybe you'd paint it red and put some horns on it, but it would be a human. Shitty life forms. And it is because of attitudes, actions, and behaviors that are practiced. You practice being an asshole, you're going to be an asshole. You practice looking at life like a victim, and you're going to be a victim. And if you're looking to use victimhood as an excuse to be an asshole, why, you are justified in being a dick. Look at all these races out here. Racists are another crew, another group. And I'm talking about from around the world. We deserve more because of our ethnicity and because of how we look. And or because of how we look. Shitty life form. I deserve more than other people. And my right to take my angers and frustrations out on other people. Me. People like me deserve more first. People who look like me, who come from where I come from, we deserve the best. Cowardly. Shitty. A disgusting life form. They practice their way into doing that. They practice their way into becoming that. You know, you think about something like an envious person, a hater. Well, they have a shitty attitude. But deconstruct hate, deconstruct envy. What is envy based in? Envy is based in entitlement, narcissism. Envy is based in entitlement, and it's based in competition, which translates into aggression and self-idealizing. You see someone who's prettier than you walking down the street. I deserve to be prettier than them. And then you start doing mean little shit. Try and steal power from them because you're too chicken shit to live in a world where you're not the prettiest. You have a shitty attitude. and you're corrupt. Look at a person who's like a racist. A racist is the same thing. A shitty, corrupt attitude. Sitting here, oh, I deserve to be better than them because my skin is lighter than theirs. I'm smarter. I'm morally superior. It's based in competition. It's based in narcissism. It's based in greed. It's based in competitiveness and or tribalism. But it's a shitty outlook on life. And it boils down to a much larger principle, which I cover in the sub-comments. It's the choice between healing and making others suffer. I was actually on the fence about which to lead with as the title of this podcast. Healing or making others suffer. You know how many people in the world are hurting right now? Some people live in chronic pain. Some people have zero access to resources and no type of form of social mobility towards acquiring resources. And for a lot of them, it corrupts them. It makes them think like slaves. Me first, me only. I have to take for me. Me. And maybe some for people who are extensions of my identity. Right? They become traumatized. Again, trauma being the fear of disempowerment due to society, a parasitic entity, weaponizing cowards in higher social positions towards the affected, to the tune that cowards in positions of authority necessarily deny them access to resources and thus deny them access to life. And in these harsh conditions, a lot of times highly corrupt people are born. Unfortunately. But in order to remain corrupt, they have to practice being corrupt. You see, the socialization process is traumatic for all of us. To some degree or another, all of us live in pain. Right? And through this pain that we live through, we have to make a choice about what type of person we're going to sort of train ourselves to be. Are you going to be a shitty person? Or are you going to be a good person? You see, as bad as you hurt, and or as much stress as you endure in life, there are people in much worse situations than you who endure a great deal more, who maintain a positive outlook on life, who refuse to let the limitations of their circumstances and the stresses that they have to endure through define what they are towards other people. It's the pressure test. I got put through the pressure test. Did it turn me into a coward, or did it make me a brave person? Did it make me greedy, or did it make me generous? Did it make me seek escapes in convenience, or did it make me thorough and, a well-turned-out human being? The pressure test, it'll tell you who you are. The pressure test of life will tell you who and how you are. And if the stresses of life turn you into an aggressive asshole, then you're corrupt. If the pressures of life turn you into a protector, why? Then you're balanced and you're good. But it is really what you practice doing most. You practiced your way into becoming the person you are. I hate when people say, oh, that's just how I am. No, it's not. It's what you practice being. Oh, I have a short fuse. No, you just don't practice listening, and as a result, you have a proclivity to react to shit before you understand it, but you don't have a short fuse. You practice being an asshole, and that's why you act like an asshole. That's why you are an asshole. You practice having a bad attitude. If you're greedy, you have a terrible attitude. If you're self-righteous, you have a terrible attitude. If you're authoritarian, you absolutely have a terrible attitude. You're vengeful, you're pious, you're unforgiving, you take for yourself, you're greedy, you're just more than likely, if you are a product of the socialization process, you have a shitty attitude. You know what's even worse? I look at all these wannabe spiritual people around here, some of whom are in the religious vein and others who are in more of the pseudo-spiritualist vein, the New Age, whatever you want to call it. All that talk of spirituality with shitty attitudes, they're just as pious as those they sell their talking points to and attempt to counsel with their ignorance. Terrible, terrible people. Practiced in becoming assholes. But back to the point of choosing between healing and making others suffer. I want to put this in a proper frame. So, you get to solve problems or you get to make somebody pay, but never both. You get to solve problems and make somebody pay, but never both. Right? If someone shoots you in the arm and they hit an artery, and you have to choose between shooting them back or going to the hospital, otherwise you'll die, that is very much the scenario of how life works in reality. Now, if you're a prideful person, you're like, I'm going to get my vengeance. You fuck around and you die. If you're like, oh, yo, I got shot. My kids depend on me. My family depends on me. As bad as I want to get even, I have to let go of that because something is bigger. Something bigger is something is more at stake. Something bigger is at stake than my pride. Taking care of those who depend on me is more important to me than getting my vengeance and satisfying my inner sense of justice. I choose healing over making the person who hurt me suffer. And, the majority of the people in society, again, we've suffered through the socialization process, and it was brutal. Like going to school, do you realize how awful going to school is? Being ripped away from your home, forced into a social environment that where you don't really know anyone, being pitted in competition against children, and told that in order for you to have value as a person, you have to regurgitate what you're told as opposed to relying on your own sensibility. Have you any idea of how traumatic the socialization process is to children? We do this to babies. Rip them away from their families and from the safety of their homes. Force them to go places where they're pitted in competition and then mocked and ridiculed for not competing well enough, for not competing well enough to regurgitate information they're being spoon-fed. That shit sucks. It sucks. But yeah, we're traumatized by the socialization process, right? And you know, we become adults. We become adults, and how do we handle that process? Instead of saying, "Yo, this is a wild way to interact with people," literally training children we're literally, I guess, domesticating children to want to find value in trading units of their life away for resources to survive on. That sucks. All that pressure. You better be popular. You better get good grades. That's how you survive in life. These kids are traumatized. They're out here like, oh my god, what am I going to do? It fucking sucks. So you're traumatized by the socialization process, and then here you got these cowards who grow up and they see these, and by coward I mean a person who's afraid of reality. And they see people who didn't fare well through this socialization process of academia. And they're like, you need to get a job. It's one of the most cowardly fucking things I've ever heard in my entire life. Go find a job. And the problem with it is, it isn't that everybody in society has to work or must. It's more along the lines of, I'm suffering, so you need to suffer too. It's kind of like watching black parents talk about beating their children and beating their children on social media. My parents beat me and I turned out fine. I'm going to beat the shit out of my kids. And the irony of it is, you're beating on kids. The only thing you're doing is releasing your anger and frustration into them under the form of, in the form of punishment. And the only thing that it ultimately teaches them is that how you solve your problems is by using physical violence to transfer your anger, frustration, and other negative emotions into others with. But I suffered. I need to make you suffer. Instead of letting go of all of that toxicity, instead of letting go of all that toxicity towards learning how to manage your trauma, your phobia of disempowerment, you cling to it. You cling to all of that drama and toxicity and all that corruption because the only thing you know how to do is try to transfer it into somebody else. All you know how to do, all you learned how to do, is try to transfer your negative charge, your negative energy into somebody else. And the worst part about it is, if you are a corrupt individual and or you harbor within yourself and nurture within yourself an aggressive, a greedy, a self-righteous and pious, narcissistic, and competitive attitude, then you are constantly recharging your negative battery. If you have a negative outlook on life, then I bet you find in any situation something to complain about. And when something to complain about rears its ugly head, why, there you are, accepting the charge, getting ready and full of all this animus and rage, and you're just going to find somebody and release it into them, right? Celebrity says one word that's slightly off color, and all of a sudden, my opportunity to release my negative charge into them. Let's cancel them. Your neighbor says a word you don't like. They park on your lawn, somebody scuffs your shoe. Somebody does the slightest little thing to set you off. And there you go. You collected all this negative charge in you, and you got to release it into someone, and all you were looking for was that little excuse. That little excuse for you to be an asshole. Because that's what you wanted to be, right? That's what you practice being, isn't it? It's not fair. I tell you, I hate racism. American racists is just, they do something to my soul. And not just my soul, the Avatar perspective, or what you guys call Holy Ghost. Man, when I tell well, it does not like American racists at all. They literally practice fantasizing about hurting people and idealizing themselves and idealizing making others suffer for their amusement and satisfaction so they can capture false senses of power by disempowering those they outnumber and outrank. And it's pretty fucking disgusting, but they practice having that attitude and outlook on life. Perpetual victims. Whine about the statistics of black on black crimes. Want to see black people killed. Right? Talk about how many black people are in prison, but at the same time complain about fucking affirmative action. Which is it? Are blacks filling up all the prisons, or are they taking all the jobs? Which is it? It's unfair. All this affirmative action, they're getting all these jobs. I deserve the job. You can have any job you want, most jobs, unless you suck. And the only thing you want to do is make sure somebody else doesn't have a job. And it didn't even get to the point I was talking about earlier. Through the socialization process, you are literally trained to value and idealize trading your life away for resources to survive on. And then instead of addressing the point of, hey man, why am I the only species on this planet that actually pays to live here? You'd much rather take your anger and frustration out on and or transfer your negative charge into someone who is powerless to reflect it back to you because you're a fucking coward. Instead of addressing and solving the problem of why are we traumatizing ourselves in this way, you'd much rather just make sure that somebody else suffers the same way you suffered or more. That's a shitty outlook on life. It's a shitty outlook on life. Hey, I got anybody out there in the audience tonight? Anybody there? Your man waving at you, being like, what's good? But yeah, you know, on the Dave Chappelle show, there was this skit that they did called The Player Haters Ball. I know y'all are familiar with it, but or most of y'all are familiar with it. I might share the link. But you know, Dave Chappelle, he was like, they were talking about, and it was Ice-T's skit, and he was like, it was Ice-T's portion of the show. He was like, man, it's like, you know what? I hate everybody. I hate that man. I hate that man. It's like, you know what? Why he got 2 cars and I ain't got 2 cars? Why he got a big house and I ain't got a big house? Right? And Dave Chappelle in the end is it Silky Johnson or something like that? He's like, first of all, I would like to thank God for giving everyone so much and me so little. Envy. Envy is the combination of vanity, competition, and subsequently it produces aggression. Vanity. I'm too good to be in my station. I should be in the station they're in. Competition. I deserve to be superior to them. I'm going to do little things to disempower them so that ultimately I can be better than them. And it produces a shitty outlook on life. Pedophile. oh God, it's like I'm not fit to compete with people who are on my level. I can't defeat or subdue people who are on my level, so I need something weak to transfer my negative charge into, something lower than me that's powerless to resist my wiles. They go after kids. Fucking cowardly. Same thing with any type of social predator, really. Looking for something to prey on because I'm too chicken shit to face and deal with the reality where I'm not as powerful as I think I am or want to feel. Cowardly. Cowardly. Every negative attitude. Race is the same way. I'm supposed to be superior to them because I'm my skin color. Nationalists the same way. I'm superior to them because of where I'm from and my people. Competition, narcissism. It leads to aggression. Shitty attitude and outlook on life. This is the way that it works at a mechanical level. So everybody who's supporting corruption at the global scale, understand that the problem is you. You've chosen to nurture a shitty attitude within yourself, and then even worse, you hang around people. You hang around people who reinforce the validity of your shitty attitude and outlook. That's what an echo chamber is. Little Republicans. Oh, the Democrats. Shut up. Democrats. Oh, the Republicans. Shut up. I want to have somebody to blame and complain about, so I'm justified in thinking I'm superior to others. And then so, more entitled to consume than they are, because that's what parasites do. We just want to consume, and we want to take from others and empower ourselves. Cowardly. It's disgusting. It's fucking disgusting. Yeah? That's how it is. That's how it is. You practice being corrupt, which is why reality has no patience, no leniency for or towards those who engage in it, because you work your way into it. Yeah, maybe you hurt. But people who hurt worse than you have still chosen to be good. And instead of choosing to be good, instead of trying to make a positive impact on the world, you use your hurt and your suffering and your woe is me attitude as an excuse to try to transfer your negative charge into others. Instead of letting go of the negative charge and filling yourself with positivity and light, instead of actually focusing on trying to become a better person and on trying to make the world around you better and on trying to acknowledge and clean up all the messes you've made, you sit around self-idealizing. You sit around making up stories in which you're the hero and everyone else is the villain. Sit around worshiping yourself to the tune of convincing yourself that you deserve to consume at the head of the trough, unlike the other parasites. That sound about right? It should. If you practice that negativity, if that is your attitude and outlook on life, it should sound spot on. I hate you, Donald King. You say things that make me think. No, you have a shitty attitude. You think that you deserve to be more right than me, and you're mad because you're not. Instead of celebrating the fact that someone is giving you, someone is using their life to give you the playbook to reality itself, you'd much rather compete because you feel you deserve the attention more than me. You have a shitty attitude. You need to go in the trash. What kind of life form? What kind of system can sustain with an with a bevy of life forms that just go around self-idealizing, taking for themselves, and living and benefiting at the system's expense and at the expense of all those who are not them performing within the system? What kind of system can sustain like that? None. You practice your way into being a dick, guys. I mean, literally, giving you the playbook to reality itself. Play by play. Breaking it down. Giving you all the ins and outs, the nooks and crannies. Well, how do you respond with your shitty attitude? I don't like the color of the book. How dare you be smarter than me? Who cares if you're better than me? And who cares if you can do that little thing? That's nothing. That's nothing. I'm special. I deserve more attention than you. With nothing to show for it. All those status beliefs and nothing to show for them. I'm going to compete against you. You practice being a dick, guys. In simplest terms, especially with respect to humanity, a shitty attitude is indicative of being corrupt. I don't care what you've had to endure through life. You have fucked up parents. I've had fucked up caretakers as well. You've been beat on. I've been beat on. You've been stolen from. I've been stolen from. You had things that you spent your life building, torn down. Yeah, same thing happened to me. It's a question of, what did it turn you into? Did it turn you into a protector or a predator? I had a bad experience with a black person before, so I hate all black people. A shitty attitude. What do you practice? What do you practice? You know, it's really funny, and I'm gonna go meta for this, because that's what avatars do. We can go meta. At the top of let's go to the universal scale of plane. All right. As I told you before, everything that you see in the way of parasitism and viral parasitic structural building blocks that can be perceived in all the different viral species on this planet, in addition to things like extraterrestrials and things of this nature, these are all like corrupt structural building blocks belonging to a parasitic twin that's burrowing into and cannibalizing the body of the host universe we are presently co-opting. Humanity would be an extension of the parasitic twins' cellular building blocks. But at a principle level, if you could understand the language between these twins, and I'm going to translate it into English for you right now. This parasitic twin, it got violated by the entity we refer to as corruption and or devil. And by violated, I mean it's a combination of just, in order to overtake that host, it's like a combination of brutalized and sexually assaulted. It's horrible. But this parasitic twin that's currently decaying right now, and doing everything it can to keep its form integral, it got violated, and because it got violated, the I guess dialogue in subtext and or an inference between the parasitic twin universe and the host sibling is like, why are you hurting me? Why are you killing me? Why are you destroying me? And the parasitic twin, very much in the same way cellular building blocks prioritize and make sense of the world, it's like, I was hurt, so you should hurt. It was taken from me, so I must take from you. It enjoyed injuring me, so I'm going to enjoy injuring you. It ate part of me, so I'm going to eat you. And this corrupt attitude that overtook this fetus has translated down to and throughout its respective structural building blocks. So everything that is corrupt, from a parasitic tongue louse to mosquito, I'm going to take from you because corruption took from me. And we're reaching a point right now where the parasitic twin will have to choose between healing and or becoming whole and continuing to make its siblings suffer for the injury it has suffered itself. Shitty predicament, isn't it? I tell y'all, when I say nobody would sign up to be an avatar, this is what I mean. If you could see all this stuff, you wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want to. And even with that, this is the thing that's really fucked up. Because reality has to purge corruption, and because toxic attitudes and negative attitudes and outlooks on life is how corruption is maintained, the shittier your attitude is the more corrupt you are. The more corrupt you are, is the more imbalances you create in the world around you. The more imbalances you create in the world around you, is the more reality has to take back from you in order to balance out the system of itself. All because you were born into a circumstance you had no control over. It's not fair. It's not fair by any stretch of the imagination. But reality doesn't give a shit about what we think is fair or not. Reality, it says only everything has to balance out. Now, I'm giving you an opportunity right now to achieve balance. I'm giving you an avatar to help explain the principles of me to you so that I don't have to fuck you up more than I do. Hopefully, so that I don't have to fuck you up at all. But I'm giving you this opportunity because doing so is balanced. But if you choose to cling to your inner sense of justice and forgo my balance, then you will have chosen corruption over me. And if you choose corruption over me, then you're part of corruption. And if you're part of corruption, I'm going to have to do to you what I do to all things that are corrupt. I'm going to have to get it out of you in the worst way imaginable. Which is why I try so hard to discourage people from being aggressive and being competitive, and especially doing shit to try and compete against the avatar perspective. Because the avatar perspective, you're competing against the avatar perspective and trying to aggress against it and trying to disregard it and dismiss it and trend others into being dismissive towards it. You're literally going up against the system of reality itself and all you do is just multiply all of the shit that you're gonna have to face on the back end. It's terrible. And I'm just trying to give you what I think is a fair warning, but it's more than fair. It's just balanced. You shouldn't just be able to aggress against things without understanding the consequences associated with them. So I do what I can to try and explain it to the best of my ability. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and get off here. For those of you all who tuned in, it looks like nobody tuned in tonight. That's awesome. But yeah, but anyway, I didn't get any comments, but it's cool. Guys, y'all already know what it is. I shoot these Mondays and Wednesdays on Facebook Live. And then I fly them over to my YouTube channel. Sometimes it takes me a couple of weeks to get everything uploaded. But obviously, you guys can check me out on Facebook Live and you check me out on YouTube. You know, I also post content to Instagram under Avatar Cycle XIII. It's Avatar Cycle 13. And then also, you know, I post content to Medium. I write parables and stories and things of that nature, essays, to try and help people understand reality as best as I'm able to through the perspective that's been afforded to me. If you get any sort of appreciation out of what I do in general, you just want to see me make it to a larger platform and help people out, always feel free to donate. You can Salt Bay your boy a little bit of love on Cash App at Donnie Kang. That's DONNIE KANG. And then also you can join the Patreon family. Again, at Avatar Cycle XIII. Proceeds go to building this up to a larger platform, equipment repair, new equipment, getting everything that I need in order to be as effective as this role as I can. You know, again, I strongly encourage everyone who is even remotely able to sort of contribute. At this stage of my life, the only thing I'm supposed to be focused on is Avatar work, but those who are in positions of social authority, who know what I am and who've been watching me this entire time, who've done nothing to step up and clear the path, why they're going to be like, hey, no, we're going to make you sweat it out to the very end, which is very unfortunate for them. God damn, it's so bad. Like, I feel so bad for them because, I mean, they went through the socialization process just like us, and they were told the stories just like me, and they were made to invest in these stories, and as such, they kind of, well, somebody gave them bad intel. And it's very much like the parable of Eve in the Garden of Eden. You know, if you could liken what humans now refer to as the apple to just pride. Eve took the bite of the fruit and she became imbued with pride. And what did the devil say, or the serpents say? Partake of this and you will become as God, knowing good from bad, right from wrong. She partook of the pride, and it made her think she was God, and Adam think that he was God, and they went around fucking shit up under the assumption, under the notion that they were godlike and imbued with universal wisdom. Pride is the gateway to a shitty attitude. Shitty attitude is what makes you corrupt. Guys, honor and a privilege. I appreciate y'all. I hope you have a wonderful night. I'll talk to you soon. All right. Good night.